Hello, we're going to begin chapter 2 in our mystery read aloud. I know you've heard this one before, but this is for those that were sick. So a couple of you might not have, as well as we're going to talk about any clues that might pop up. I know a couple kids told me on that Thursday, the last day that we had class together, that there's no clues. Nothing happened. I'm like, so we're going to go through those. This chapter is called The Turtle and the Trunk. When the children were dressed, they came back downstairs. Then Grandfather opened the door to the study and called them in. I've changed my mind, he said. Mrs. McGregor is right. We need a file cabinet for important papers. I never liked that trunk, and I don't like that turtle. Jessie, you can call the place on the flyer and ask them to get someone over here to appraise it. Grandfather, are you sure? That's weird. He changed his mind about never wanting to get rid of that trunk. And then suddenly he wants to sell it. That's peculiar. It has been here a long time, Mrs. McGregor said. It's not difficult to dust. And Violet chimed in. It fits in with all the other old things in the study, like the old telephone and the typewriter in here. Nope, I decided, Grandfather insisted. We're getting rid of it. I'll call, Jessie said, but she couldn't help but wonder why Grandfather had changed his mind so quickly. Jessie dialed the number. Someone answered the phone on the first ring. A man's raspy voice said, Redimus Curiosities. We're curious about everything. Jessie explained about the trunk. That sounds like something we might find very interesting, the man said. We'll be over in, he paused, then added, 7 minutes. He hung up the phone before she could say anything in reply. Jessie put down the phone. Well, they're interested. Someone will be over in 7 minutes. 7 minutes? How do they know how long it takes to get here? Henry asked. Jessie shrugged. I don't know. That's what the man told me. Henry looked at his watch. When 7 minutes were up and the doorbell hadn't rung, he said, So, they didn't really know how long it would take them. Then he ran to the window to look out. There's a truck out front, he said. Well, that's strange, Jessie said as she went to the door and opened it. I didn't hear a truck pull up. A big old white truck was parked outside. The words Redimus Curiosities was painted in purple letters on the truck's side. There was also a logo that consisted of a fancy R inside a circle made up of swirls. An image of an owl was placed so it looked like it was sitting on top of the letter. A man got out and hurried up to the Ald's porch. He was dressed in a very formal black suit with a white shirt and a purple flower in the buttonhole of his coat. He had on a purple bow tie, just like the one the man who had delivered the flyer had. Jessie replied to Jessie, He's very dressed up to be driving a truck. Violet whispered back, He's a little scary looking, or else he's not feeling well, because he's really pale. Benny took a step away from the window. He kind of looks like a vampire. Henry put his hand on Benny's shoulder. Benny, vampires aren't real. You do know that, right? If they were real, they'd look just like him, Benny said. The others chuckled at that. Grandfather opened the door. The man handed him a business card but didn't speak. Jessie caught a glimpse of it. It had the same R in the circle that the truck had. She didn't get a good enough look to read them. Grandfather looked at the card and said, Mr. Garnett, thank you for coming so promptly. He introduced the children. Mr. Garner took all their hands and then said in a low voice, Tell me about the man who left the flyer. His words came out crackly and hoarse as if he didn't talk much. We don't have anyone in the neighborhood handing out flyers. Jessie described him. Did I forget anything? She asked. You forgot the part about how he'd been a pirate, Benny said. He did say he was a pirate, Jessie told Mr. Garner. He was probably just joking around. Mr. Garner frowned. Yes, I don't believe we have any former pirates working for us. This is really odd. I'd like to see the trunk and the turtle now, if you please. They took him into the study. He examined the trunk and the turtle very carefully. When he was done, he said, I need to buy both items. I'll give you $500 for the two. They're all yours, Grandfather nodded. The man pulled a checkbook and a pen out of his coat pocket. He wrote a check and handed it to Grandfather. I want to pick these up as soon as possible. I'll come back in a few hours with a helper to collect them. You'll need to unload the contents you want to save. We'll take anything you don't want. Okay, Grandfather said. He turned to his children. Can you unload the trunk? I've got a meeting I need to get to. Sure, we can do that, Jessie said. We'll get started right away. She was so surprised that Grandfather was going out. He wasn't wearing a suit as he usually did for work meetings. Grandfather smiled. I'll show Mr. Garner out since I need to leave anyway, if I'm going to get to my meeting on time. They shook hands again and said, until we meet again. As soon as they were gone, Violet wiped her hand on her shirt. Ugh, his hand was cold and sweaty at the same time. He acted like he didn't want to be here, Jessie said. Penny looked out the window to make sure that he was gone. I hope you don't have to meet him again. I still think he looks like a vampire, Benny made a face. Mrs. McGregor said, let's not worry about him any longer. I have a box in the basement I can give you for the papers in it until we get a file cabinet. Benny, why don't you come down with me and you can carry it back up? Okay, Benny agreed and followed her. Jessie opened the lid of the trunk again and peered in. The stack on the right is old magazines. I don't know why we saved those. Violet picked one up and leafed through it. I don't either. They aren't even the ones we could cut pictures out of. She put it back in the trunk. I'd like to look at that turtle again before it's taken away. Me too, Benny said as he came in carrying a box. I really did like it. I just don't understand how it got here. Last year I went through all of the papers in the trunk, Henry said, when I was looking for some old photographs, and I know that turtle was not there. Huh. That's interesting, peculiar for sure. Is there a clue that the guy who left the flyer was a part of? They keep mentioning the purple bow tie and then the turtle that suddenly appeared. Curious. One guy looks like a vampire. The other one said he was a pirate. I'm going to jot those things into my memory. Violet picked up the turtle and then turned it over. Sometimes potters or pottery make their names onto the bottom after they've finished their work. Look, here's something. On the underside of the turtle were the letters I, K, A, C, O, M, A. IKACOMA. Icoma? That's weird. It must stand for something. That could be a clue. That must be the name of the artist, Jessie said. Violet turned it back over and looked at the design on it again. This might be a Native American design. I saw a book on famous Native American potters at the pottery studio when I took a class there. The book was full of pictures of their beautiful pottery. This design on the turtle looks like some of those pictures. There are hundreds of Native American nations, said Henry. That doesn't narrow it down much. Yes, I know, Violet said. And my teacher said not every nation has a tradition of making pottery. The ones that do each have their own designs, and individual artists have their own style. We'd have to do a lot more research. Could Icacoma be the name of a Native American nation? Maybe, Violet said. Jessie put a stack of their old artwork in the box. I'll go get my laptop and we can research it. It'll just take a minute, and then we can finish the trunk. When she had brought in her laptop, she typed it in. Nothing is coming up under the word. No person, no Native American nation. The library has a whole section of books on art. We could look there. We can go after we finish the trunk, Henry said. We shouldn't take the turtle with us. It really doesn't belong to us anymore since it was sold. What if we dropped it or broke it? That would not be good. I want to show you this picture of the turtle that our illustrator put in the book. So it's kind of cool. I wonder why it freaked Grandpa out so badly. Henry took his cell phone out of his pocket. We can leave it here. I'll take some pictures of it. The telephone on the desk rang just as Henry finished photographing the turtle. Henry answered it. He listened, then said, We'll be right there. Hanging up the phone, he said, There's an emergency at Storytown Books. The roof is leaking. A lot of rain is coming in. They're calling all the regular volunteers to see if we can come in to move the books before they get ruined. Oh my goodness, Violet said. That is terrible. Their big sale to raise money for the library was supposed to start tomorrow. Well, why don't you all go, Jessie said. I'll do the trunk myself. We don't all need to do that. And when I'm done, I'll come help you guys at the bookstore. Violet picked up the turtle. I'm going to wrap it up again. I would feel awful if it broke. You can put it on top of the magazines, Jessie said. I'm done with that part. Once the turtle was back in the trunk, Violet hurried to catch up with Benny and Henry, who were putting on their coats and rain boots. Are you sure you don't want help, Jessie? Henry asked. Nah, this is really a one-person job. I'll be done soon. She went back to work as soon as Henry, Violet, and Benny were out the door. She picked up a pile of postcards. Watch. Put his front paws on the side of the trunk and looked in. He crouched down as if he were ready to leap up into it. No, Watch. You cannot get in there, Jessie said, grabbing his collar. He whined but obeyed, sitting down next to her and sniffing the postcards. I bet you smell all the places this has been. They were postcards the Aldens had mailed to Mrs. McGregor on their travels. We'll definitely save these. I hope we get to send more someday. Phone rang again. Jessie picked it up and said hello. Is this Jessie? A woman asked in a whispered voice. Yes, Jessie replied. She didn't recognize the voice. This is Mrs. Jameson. I've lost my voice and I need your help. Mrs. Jameson was their friend who lived around the corner. The Aldens often did yard work for her. Mittens has gotten out and it's raining and I'm so worried about him. I got a call that a black and white cat who looked like him was spotted in the park. I hate to ask you to go out in the rain, but I've been very ill. I just don't know who else to call. It's nice to help the elderly in our neighborhoods when they need it, especially if it's safe to do that. I'm sure I can find him, Jessie said. I'll go to the park right away. Thank you, thank you. I don't know what I'd do without you. She hung up the phone. Jessie was about to go get her coat when she saw Watch eyeing the trunk again. Watch, you aren't going to get in there while I'm gone, she told the dog as she shut the lid. So she went to the park and searched for the cat for a long time. Hoping he'd gone home, she hurried to Mrs. Jameson's house. She rang the doorbell, and Mrs. Jameson opened it. Jessie, what a nice surprise, Mrs. Jameson said in a normal voice. She didn't sound or look ill at all. Won't you come in? That's strange. I wonder why she was hoarse before and had no voice, and then suddenly she's fine, and she seems surprised to see Jessie. Did Mittens come home, Jessie asked. I couldn't find him at the park. Mrs. Jameson looked at her strangely. In the park? What would he be doing there? He's been asleep all morning on his favorite chair. Now Jessie was very confused. She explained about the phone call. That wasn't me, Mrs. Jameson said. It sounds like someone was playing a mean trick on you. How horrible. And now you're all wet. Won't you come in for some hot chocolate? Oh, no, thank you, Jessie said. I have another place I want to be, or need to be, I should say. As she walked home, Jessie wondered if the others would still need her help at the bookstore. It had taken her so long at the park, she thought the bookstore problem might already be solved. When she turned the corner to the Alden Street, she was surprised to see the Redimus Curiosities truck was in front of their house. A man began to close the back gate on the trunk. Jessie could see the trunk inside it. No, wait, Jessie yelled. The man didn't hear her. He climbed into the truck and drove off. Oh, no. She ran as fast as she could, but quickly realized she was not going to be able to catch it, at least not on foot. She stopped for a moment and took a deep breath. Then she raced to the garage. Someone played a trick on me, too, she explained about Mittens. I'm sorry. I double turned my page. I knew that didn't sound right. Have you ever done that? When you know it doesn't make sense. She raced to the garage and grabbed her bike and jumped on it. She saw the truck just as it turned the corner onto another side street. Jessie followed, braking just enough to make the tight turn. Please stop, her mind screamed as she kept her eyes on the truck and tried to get closer. Finally, the truck came to a stop at a light a block away. Jessie hoped she could reach it in time, but the driver kept revving the engine and inching the vehicle forward. Jessie pedaled faster. Almost there, she thought. When she was about 10 feet behind the truck, the light changed and the truck sped through the intersection. Jessie sped up too, but the truck was too fast for her. She fell farther behind, hoping that another stoplight would turn red. Instead, the truck turned onto a very busy road and disappeared from her sight. No, Jessie cried out loud. There was nothing she could do now except turn back and go home. Question is, what clues did we come up with? I talked about a couple of things that were strange and possible clues. We're not really sure what the problem is, but it does seem like some people aren't being fully honest. So we'll have to figure out the problem and the clues. I feel like we have some suspects. One, we're not sure what the name is with that weird phone call, but our first visitor with the flyer, wonder who he really is. A pirate? That's chapter 2.